Welcome everybody, this is Brothermutant here. And while you guys are probably hoping for a video for Path of Evil, I do apologize, I haven't gotten back to it yet. Been sick for a couple weeks. First week wasn't so bad, second week I actually lost my voice, so I couldn't do anything. But I have been toying around with this, and I wanted to show you what I've been working on. So it's not that I forgot about you guys, and I will be posting another video here shortly, within the next few days, on Path of Evil. But I wanted to show you why I've been basically kicking around. I wanted to have a better spellbook. We've talked about this before, and Cadron's merged files has a lot of really good stuff in them. Stuff that was merged from, I want to say Mage Tome, the earlier version, not the most recent 2.0 version. Wicked Magic, I want to say there's also some rerun spell fixes and improvements are in there. Most of them anyway. The ones that Cadron agreed with, or the ones that Cadron did not change. Should be in here as well. A lot of really good stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that was missing and from other packs that I always liked their spell additions. I have yet to figure out how to make my own spell. What I mean by that is there are specific NSS files that you have to compile into NCS files. The NSS files are the ones that you can manipulate yourself. NCS is the ones that the games use. So when you download these things and you guys start seeing NCS and NSS files, that's what those were actually for. Cadron, of course, and all these other creators have made their own NCS files. It's downloadable with their packs. Cadron did not use all of them for whatever reason, so I'm trying to put them back in. Not all. Ones that I liked, ones that I think aren't broken, ones that I think that are cool. Some are good, but have problems associated with them. Fine example is if you go to Mage Tome 2.0, I've added quite a few. Let me get into the 2000s. Sorry to scroll past so many things so quickly. But at this point here, you see I start adding things that basically cut and pasted from Mage Tome 2.0. They have a lot of really good stuff, a lot of cool looking spells, ones that thematically are neat, ones that are just downright goofy. For example, there's a level 9 magic black sword that instant kills. It's like a saving throw, a death save or die for every attack it does. So you could literally cast that spell, that one spell, walk away, and if they're not immune to death magic or have a really good fortitude save, I think it's for death magic, they're basically all going to die in the room, and you just basically turn yourself invisible and let the sword do all the work for you. It's kind of cool. I will leave it in. I probably won't use it, but it is pretty damn sweet. There's some that just don't work it out at all. I want to say Ray of the Animation, Ray of the Python is another one that's broken or gimped in some way. Some of these are just cool. Ray of Ice, so like Ray of Frost, but like a Big Brother version of it. It uses the Ray of Frost animations like it should, I'm assuming. But then there's ones like, let me see if I can find the Ray of Fire to give you an example of what I'm referring to. Where are you at, Mr. Ray of Fire? Come on now. Oh, rainbow spells are always cool. Storm Touch has an a glitch in it. The spell itself is pretty sweet. It's basically like a Shocking Grasp to the nth extreme. However, when you look at the actual visual casting animations, that's what these SEF files, the special effects files, are linked to. The special effects that they have for these things are doing a different kind of animation than I wanted. So instead of you doing what would appear to be like an electrical attack, because that's what it is, it comes off looking like a inflict serious wounds effect, which is kind of silly. And they're on immunity type, negative damage instead of electric. So some of these things need to be fixed. This is how I would fix them. So I can change these things in here. Cadron even had a couple mistakes, and I'm not poo-pooing what they've done. They've done a great job. I'm just trying to add to it. And for those of you that are interested, I am planning on uploading this to the vault once I do get it quote-unquote finished, or to my liking. I will give credit where credit is due, of course. I'm basically doing nothing more than cutting and pasting and doing little typo fixes here and there, changing the schools as necessary, and Cadron and Rerun even did that. Fine example is if you search in this here, you do Ray of Frost. You find Ray, you just keep searching for it until you see Ray of Frost over here. And there's Ray of Flame. This one has an issue with it in that they're using the Ray of Frost conjure effect, so when you're kicking off a fire spell, you have a cold swirl around your character. So there's nothing wrong with the spell, it just looks dumb. So these are the things I'm trying to fix. But I wanted to show you Ray of Frost for a reason. Probably because it's way up high. Color spray. Rare. Basically, it's just looking for anything with R-A-Y. Ray of Enfeeblement. Ray of Frost. Okay, so here's Ray of Frost. Pull it up to the top so you guys can see what I'm saying. You'll notice that the school for here is V. V in this case is stands for evocation, and the reason for V being the letter instead of E, because E was actually used for enchantment. So this is a way you can literally change your spells to the proper school. You go into the 2DA file using this TLK editor, which is free online, and I'm using TLK, the first one. There's the one I downloaded gave me not only TLK edit, but TLK edit 2, and for whatever reason TLK edit 2 doesn't work for me. It's the better version, quote unquote, but I haven't had a chance to use it, so this works fine, and I'm just sticking with it. A couple little tricks that you can do here is you set the column here under view to 1 and 2 as row header, so that you basically lock these in place. You can see them here, of course, too, but I can now scroll and still always see the row and the actual name of the spell, which is what should be listed here. And this has no bearing or impact on the game. I could call this the Ray of Butt Kick, and that would never show up in the game. Where it actually gets the name is where is it? Name right here. This 894 refers to the dialogue TLK file. If this is the generic one, the vanilla version, the one that you guys all have for just downloading the game, it should be exactly what the devs had intended. Now, that doesn't mean the devs had done it correctly, and this is a fine example. The devs have Ray of Frost as a conjuration, just like your Acid Splash for a cantrip, right? So either Rerun or Catering, one of the two, figured this out, that it was a mistake, that it should have been an evocation, and they changed the school. I'm basically digging into the old pen and paper D&D 3.5 versions of these spells and other spells that I want to try to include, and making sure that it's the proper school, range, verbal and somatic components, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm fixing these things. It's taking some time, and I can even set the class level, who can get the spell. Is it the innate level that it's made for? I can do, let's see, I can change the type of animation, how fast the animation goes. The changing how much damage it does and things of that nature is actually part of that NSS file that I told you about. Now, that uses coding that I am not familiar with. I'm not anywhere near good enough to figure that stuff out on my own. I do apologize for that, but I am trying to fix the things that I can fix. So basically what I am doing is copying and pasting spells from a variety of sources. Mage Tome 2.0 being a big one. That's the one I'm looking at right now. And trying to pick the ones that I like and delete the ones that I don't like, or that just they don't make sense. There are some spells that are just glitched, but there are some spells that I had working once and now I can't get them to work, which kind of irritates me. I'll give you a fine example. If you go first find again and just look for door, you see that Dimension Door is actually a spell that came up in Mage Tome or Mage Tome 2.0. I can't remember which version had it, but it's not working. It was once for me, and now it's not. So I've deleted something and I've broken something. I'm not sure what it is. I'll figure it out. But this one is, as far as I'm concerned, a spell that every wizard should have. If you're not teleporting across the battlefield to position yourself better for your spells, I don't know what kind of wizard you are. And this was missing, as far as I'm concerned. There's ones that are repetitive. There's ones that are stupid. There's just ones that are just broken outright. Fine examples are pretty much they did a bunch of different spells at levels like 1 all the way up that are some version of a cloud, obscure mist, wall of smoke, another fine example. And the spells work more or less okay. A cloud shows up. People that are in the cloud have concealment. Fine. If they take damage because of the spell, they do that. Again, fine. But I can walk into that cloud, I get concealment, I step out of the cloud, and I still have concealment on my character, and that's a mistake. I can't figure out how to fix it, and so I'm not going to. So those types of spells are just going to be straight up deleted or inactivated, however you want to look at it. I'll leave them, I'll give you everything you need, but I will basically show you how I would change it to make sure that it can't be used. I will take the Bard through Warlock and do 4 stars like this. 4 stars mean they don't have access to it, okay, at any level. So I will leave the spell there. If you guys want to reactivate it, just change it in the spells 2da file that I'll upload. Make it at the appropriate level, whatever you think is right. But like this spell right here, nobody has access to it. That doesn't even have an innate thing there. So again, Argent Savant Ablate Force was never done or fixed here, did anything useful, so they basically just left it there. I could just delete that row. But there are spells that I like, spells that are useful, spells that are repetitive. Like there's like a half a dozen different kind of magic missile, quote unquote, spells. And some of them are cool, some of them make sense, some of them add flavor. I'll give you a fine example. They have a level 1 spell that's the spell, when you cast it, it's just like Magic Missile. It's, if anything, I think just a smudge stronger than Magic Missile, and it's at the same level, so it's a level 1 spell. So wizards and sorcerers can cast it at level 1. The problem with it is, well, not problem, the way it's different than Magic Missile. A, it does more damage. B, it does less missile attacks. At maximum, I think I got 4 instead of 5. It was supposed to be 5, but for whatever reason it doesn't work, which is fine. But you can make, it's not like Magic Missile where it's an auto hit, because there's a saving throw for taking half damage, which I kind of like that. It's still auto hit, but it's a chance for them to avoid the damage, right? So it's not Magic Missile. It'll look like it and it'll smack of Magic Missile, but I'll keep it because of stuff like that. There's other ones where there's Magic Missiles that they're stronger. It'll be reminiscent of Isaac's Missile Storm, but instead of Isaac Missile Storm, which sends it off against multiple targets if they're in the range, this one is still single target. So you can still zip like 15 magic missiles right at one guy with one casting of a spell, and they're pretty damn strong. So it's kind of cool. So again, things like that. There's some that are I just think aren't working, or I haven't found a way to get them to use anyway. So repair minor damage, and these are fine examples. These ones will only repair damage to constructs. Now I haven't been able to heal anything that I've summoned, so clearly I'm missing something. Whether it's broken or I just don't have the construct that it needs, I don't know. Doesn't seem to heal undead. Again, they're not constructs, so I guess I can understand that. But the reason this is important is while these spells suck, there's a couple spells that they have in here that are actually pretty useful, especially for a necromancer like my character is in Path of Evil. A fine example is, well, let me just find it, it's just faster. I gotta do it the right way. Start up here, and I'll actually do negative. Alright. And you keep clicking this one to get the next one, and I'm actually looking for negative in here, not negative in the damage or immunity type. There's a couple of spells that they have thanks to Mage Tome, one of which that Cadron kept, and one that they, for whatever reason, they've deleted or inactivated, and I just don't understand why. But let's see if I can find the two of them for you. Here's one. Negative Energy Burst. North side has DEL, which means it's been deleted or it's not working like it should. Negative Energy Burst has a really nice effect in that it's an AoE attack. It does negative energy damage, so basically anything gets hit with a negative energy attack. Except, of course, undead. Undead get healed by negative energy, as some of you already know. So this is a nice way to heal your undead armada if you're a necromancer like my character is going to be. Negative Energy Ray is actually the one that I want to reactivate. This one's actually better in that it's an AoE, does more damage, more healing then, and of course it also has a really cool side effect in that Negative Energy Burst for targets that get hurt, they take strength damage. For the undead, the exact opposite happens. They actually get more strength, which is pimp. So again, very cool spell, which I'll keep. This one here is just neat because it's a single target, still low level, negative energy attack, heals undead, damages anything else, and it looks just very clean, very cool. Little black beam kicking off your hand, hitting the target. So Cadron has these inactivated. I want to say that they have negative somewhere else, negative energy burst somewhere else, and it's activated because I do remember using it. Yeah, here you go. And so they have it here for whatever reason. They just moved it somewhere else, which is fine. There's other ones like Ice Lance has been activated. Blast of Flame, which is more like Burning Hands, just like a Big Daddy version. There's some spells that are repetitive from Mage Tome. Let's see if I can find Ball. They have there's a Delay Blast Frost Ball for those of you that like your frost spells. You know, this is clearly for those kick-ass Acid Ball, and this again will be ones that smack of what's the one? There's a ball of lightning, or ball lightning I think is what the spell's called, but it's basically Scintillating Sphere for those of you that know the spells. It's a Big Daddy version of it, and again it was probably before they added those spells. So this was someone that made the spell saying, hey, this is missing, and they added their own version the best they could, and it turns out that the devs made a Scintillating Sphere spell which may be stronger or weaker or lower level or higher level. So again, I'll decide what I like and don't like. But that's basically the point. There's some spells that, again, here's Mordekin Force Missiles, which is, again, Arcane Bolts was the one I was thinking of. That's a magic missile that can be dodged for half damage or 0 damage if they have that feat. But there's other spells that are cool or interesting that I thought, hey, why not? So I'm trying to merge them. Having some decent success with it, quite frankly. It's just time consuming. So I haven't forgotten about you guys. I will continue to do this, but I will start posting videos of Path of Evil here soon. It's just I had to take my dialogue TLK files, my merged spell 2DA files out to modify them. I've renamed them so that I still have the original version. But I am trying my best to make things fit thematically too. Fixing the ranges if they don't make sense, fixing the animations if they don't make sense, because there's some that, like again, you cast ice around your character when you shoot off a fire beam. What the hell is that? Makes no sense. I have ones where I'm shooting a sonic ball at somebody for sonic damage, and for whatever reason it looks like a big green ball of acid. Again, makes no sense. I have acid rain spells, 2 different versions of them, and instead of it being rain, again, it just looks like I threw out that acid ball that basically strikes out and explodes in a big green poosh, and then everyone takes acid damage. So it's fine. It just kind of breaks the immersion of the game. So again, I'm going through that stuff, fixing things as needed. It will be mostly wizard, sorcerer type stuff that I'm fixing, obviously, here. There will be some crossover. Some things will be bard, some things will be druid, some will be cleric even. I'm not going to try to change that. If it's intended for those classes, I'll leave it in. You know, it's easy enough to put in there. But I probably won't do it for things like domains. I'll do my best to make sure that the animations make sense, that the timing isn't, you know, so incredibly slow that you're standing there pointing your finger at somebody for like 2 rounds or something, getting whacked on. That's just dumb. If the spell is broken in some way where, like, literally it says, oh, it does this, and it doesn't, I'll either delete it or change the tooltip that basically describes what the spell does so that it's accurate. There's one that Mage Tome 2.0 has where I want to say it gives you +4 initiative is what it says it does, and instead of doing that, it gives you like +4 dexterity. So, which is great, but it's not what you're supposed to be doing. Other things that I will be fixing, again, I'm not messing with the sound files. I'll leave it to what makes perfect sense for them. Same with the visuals. Some projectiles aren't there in some of Mage Tome stuff where, you know, like you're throwing a stone at somebody. Well, there's nothing that really equates a good stone. If I can figure out what the sling object is, you know, the bullet, I can add it. and make just look like your character's slinging a bullet at him, which is really what the spell is supposed to be anyway. I can do that. I just need to figure out what the SEF file is called. I've already done it for arrow. See if I can find that for you real quick, just to prove you what I'm talking about. There's a few arrow, yeah, here we go, models, arrow trail, arrow models, different kinds of arrows as well, that are used for certain things. Presper's Moonbow is a spell from them that had no visual effect, other than you did a cast, there's an animation, nothing left your hand or zipped off from your character to hit the target, but suddenly the target got hit. It was just like an invisible electric bolt of something, I think is what happens. It just looks stupid. So I added an arrow animation to it. It's not quite perfect. It's a little too slow. Looks kind of dumb because like the arrows like kind of traipsing off over to him. So I may need to change homing to accelerating or whatever to see if tweak it to do what it's supposed to do. If I have no choice, hell, I can just switch it out and make it look just like magic missile. 3 little missiles will zip off and hit with lightning instead of magic damage. I can probably do that pretty easy. The other thing though that I do want to do, and this will be the last thing I finish on here, is for the sub-radial spells you see here. Sub-rated spell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are some certain spells, and if you zip all the way to the top, you see an easy example of one. Blade Barrier is a spell that if you cast it, it gets a pull-down menu. You get 2 different spells to pick from, basically. Blade Barrier, where you make a straight barrier on the ground, where it's just like a wall of blades, if you will. Or you can click your character and surround yourself with blades. You can't move, you're immobile. But these are 2 spells, basically, in one. There are other spells that are like this. Another fine example that I love, Shadow Conjuration and Greater Shadow Conjuration. Spells that literally, if you pick this spell, you get like 4 or 5 free spells as a result, because you pick the spell and you hit sub-radial spells 1 through 4 or 5, like Darkness, Invisibility, Magic Missile, or Acid Arrow, or you get the little Summon Shadow. There's a variety of stuff that you get in either of those 2 spells. While looking in the pen and paper stuff, I found that there's not only Shadow Conjuration and Greater Shadow Conjuration are typical spells from the 3.5 edition of D&D, but there were a couple others that were called Shadow Evocation and Greater Shadow Evocation. Now the downside of those is they're evocation spells, basically mimicked by the Shadow Force, illusion, however you want to call it. To the point where in the game, the pen and paper game, you only got like 40% or 60% of the damage. Well, I can't affect the damage, so that's going to be kind of cheating. But what I can do is I can change the spell level. So if a spell level for, let's say, Shadow Evocation was a level 4 spell, let's just say, from what I remember reading up on it, it's anything lower level than that, so level 3 on down, that is an evocation spell, can be mimicked, okay, at like 40% strength. Well, since I can't change the strength of the spell, what I can do is say, instead of it being level 4, make it a level 5 or a level 6, so it costs you more to be able to do that. It'll still be an illusion spell, it'll still be a Shadow Evocation spell, and it'll still have multiple spells to pick from, up to 5, and same with Greater Shadow Evocation, but that way you have access to them again. And I think I can do that. Still haven't tested it yet, but it should be pretty easy and straightforward. With that, though, my name's Brothermutant. For the love of God, please do not like this video because it's crap. I do want to tell you guys, though, why I've been missing, and I do apologize for not having posting anything recently. This will go up today on Monday, and someday earlier in this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe if I'm lucky, I'll start posting more Path of Evil videos for you guys to see what I can do with my low-level wizard / necromancer character. But I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.